there's three things that we found that create happiness. Not status, not fame, not glory, not achievement. There are three things that do create happiness. And the first one is gratitude. It's recognizing what's already in your life. It's recognizing the abundance that we have. It's turning have-tos into get-tos. There's a lot of things that people just take for granted that they're not realizing how great they have it. I have to go to the gym today. I have to pick up my kids from soccer. I have to go to the grocery store. I have to go to work. No, you don't. You get to go to work. You get to cook dinner tonight. You get to go to the grocery store. You get to go to the gym. You get to have a job. You get to coach your kids' soccer teams. Those are things that most people in the world would literally chop off a limb for the opportunity to maybe be able to do those things.
Yep.
I know this firsthand. Like, I'm lucky enough to have a great family right now, but we had trouble having kids. Heather had a couple miscarriages. When you go through an experience like that, it's amazing how you realize how important that is to you. Now, when the kids are crying, when you're having that tough day, when you're stuck in the moment of like what seems like a really tough day, it's not.
Right.
It's still amazing. There's a great story of this girl, young mother who is, going through this horrific cancer treatment. She's going through chemo I don't know the story exactly, but or radiation. She's really sick and she's just spent weeks and weeks in the hospital. And she just says, I would give anything, with tears streaming down her face. I would give anything for the chance right now to change a messy diaper. Perspective, right?
Yeah.
You get to change a messy diaper. It's not something you have to do. So that's the first thing is gratitude. Mm-hmm. And it can show up by a number of different things. Turn have-tos and get-tos by just journaling, writing down, 3 things that you're grateful for today. Every morning in the shower, say 3 things that you're grateful for. And it'll start off with I'm grateful for my wife, I'm grateful for my kids, I'm grateful for my job, I'm grateful for whatever it is.
The obvious things.
But what happens is, as you start to say those things, the next day, try not to repeat them. And what do you do? If you're not allowed to repeat them, what do you do throughout the day? Mm-hmm. You have to look for them. You have to search for them. Yep. What am I happy for? What am I grateful for? Well, there's, I'm going to get the term wrong, but psychological association. What you look for, you see more of, right? You're going to buy a new, F-150. All you do is see F-150s on the streets everywhere. You're going to get new shutters for your house. All of a sudden you're pay attention to everyone's shutters. Yep. You look for good things, and what do you see more of? You see more good things.
That makes me think of and I heard Harry, your head coach here at New England, during one of our immersions, and maybe you can kind of give a quick synopsis of what this is, but look around the room at the red things.
So this is one of the things that it's one of the tools that we use, one of the exercises we use to exemplify this. And we do just that. So we have everyone, we're going to give you 10 seconds and count all the red things you can in the room. 3, 2, 1, go. Look around. 8, 9, 10. Good. Raise your hand if you saw over 10 things. Everybody raise their hand. Raise your hand if you saw over 20 things, and a few people. Raise your hand if you saw over 30 things, and a couple people raise their hand. So people saw between 10 and 30 things that were red because they were looking for them. Okay. Now close your eyes. Raise your hand if you saw over 10 things that were blue. No hands go up.
Right.
Why is that? Because they weren't looking for them. If you're looking for negative things in your life, you're going to see more negative things. If you're looking for positive things in your life, you're going to see more positive things. Even if they're not positive or negative, what they are is something in the middle, but you pull it towards you. People look around and they see the traffic cones and they're like, those are orange, but I'm going to count them as red, right?
Yeah.
Because they want to. They want to see it as red. They see like a faded bumper plate that used to be red and now it's pink. And they're like, that's red. I know it was red because they're drawing on past experiences.
Yep.
They're associating these experiences or these colors with what they want to see. Well, if you're looking for negative in your life, it's going to be all around you. Mm-hmm. If you're looking for positive, it's going to be all around you. If you see more positive things, you're going to be generally happier. That's why gratitude works and recognizing the abundance in your life.
Before we get on to the other 2 things, and I'm only asking because I don't remember what it's called, but I know that Heather fills out, it's like,
5-minute journal.
5-minute journal. Okay.
Yep.
So that's something that folks might want to look into. It's literally a journal, and it gives you, and you know better than I, but it's like 3 things I'm grateful for today.
That would assume I read her journal. Yeah.
Well, she posts it on Instagram on a regular basis, so everybody reads it. But it basically, it's 3 things I'm grateful for today. And I think it's like 3 things that I don't know. I mean, maybe you can give a little bit more detail as to.
It's a called the 5-minute journal, and she's very religious about it. She does it every single day. And one of the sections is 3 things I'm grateful for, which is great. It's perfect. There's other things in there as well as things like today would go really well if I fill in the blank.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Today was tomorrow I could do a better job of fill in the blank.
Right.
3 things I'm grateful for, and there's a couple other things as well. But it is a powerful thing that she's stuck to, and she says has moved the needle for her.
Really cool.
She feels really good with that.
Folks can just look, just Google that, and I'm sure that they find it.
Yep.
Okay, so gratitude is the first thing. What is the second thing?
Gratitude is number 1. The second one is giving back. The big caveat to this one is money doesn't count. So it counts for the people getting it. We were just having a discussion about before this started about money and where the threshold is for where it actually tips the needle and all that. If you are on the poverty line or below, like money could make you happier. Like if you can all of a sudden get a roof above your head, if you can get your next meal, that's a huge thing for you. That's going to make people happier. Here's the thing though, is you giving money is, and I'm not saying don't give money because it's great, it's philanthropic, it can move the needle for a huge section of the population that need it. But what it won't do is make you happier. You giving away money doesn't make you happier because it's a completely renewable resource. You give away $100, you can make another $100 back. You give away $10,000, you can get $10,000 back. It won't make you happier. And this we kind of know a little bit. If you came into this meeting today and you're like, hey, how's it going? Good. I'm like, what'd you do this weekend? You're like, I donated $10,000 to this charity. I'm like, wow, Patrick, that's pretty cool. My opinion of you might change slightly. I'm like, wow, he's a good guy. That's really cool. If you tell me, I say, what'd you do this weekend? You tell me you donated 10 hours to a charity or you spent 10 hours on something that's helping another person, that completely changes my opinion of you. And the other thing is, it can make you happy. It's a non-renewable resource. When you're giving that away, that's what changes things. You giving away something that you're never going to get back, which is time, I think might be the only non-renewable resource. Energy is renewable. Money's renewable. Like all these, it's the only one that I can really come up with. If you give that away to someone else, it moves you. It makes you a more whole person. I'm not religious, but the Bible, I think, probably talks a lot about this. There's a reason for it. The second one is giving back, but money doesn't count. You got to give your time. The third one, which trumps the other 2 by a tune of, I can't even think of how much more magnifies than the other 2, is relationships. Having deep, meaningful, loving relationships makes people happier. Now, here's the cool thing. Not only does it make people happier, we're in the business of getting people lean, improving their performance, living longer, pushing off the nursing home, lowering triglycerides, and running faster mile times. That's what our business is. In one of the biggest epidemiological studies that has ever been done, it was done by Harvard University, and it ran for 70 years, which is unheard of for a study. The reasons being funding dries up, or the number one reason that these studies stop after a decade or so is because the researchers either lose interest, retire, or die. Like if these researchers are started these projects in their 50s or 60s, they don't carry on.
They can't give it 70 years.
They can't keep it going for 70 years. This one's gone on for 70 years. It was done by Harvard University. It was done in Boston. What they did, they took this subset of the population and they pulled people from the poorest neighborhoods in Boston to the most affluent kids that are attending Harvard. And they studied these people for 70 years. And as technology grew, these studies became very in-depth. Not only was it fill out a questionnaire like most ridiculously lame studies are the way they do it. They spent weeks with these people in their homes, in the offices. They did blood tests. They did MRIs. They did everything that they could to determine the level of happiness and fulfillment and satisfaction that was in these people's lives and the causes for it. And they did everything from environmental to stress to eating meat, seeds, nuts, fruits, little starch, no sugar, all that, to what they're doing for exercise, to everything, right? They figured out everything. And the number one correlate to the people that lived the longest, healthiest, disease-free lives were people that had the best relationships. And it didn't matter how many relationships they had, it was the depth of those relationships. That's incredibly profound.
Yeah.
So if we're trying to get people healthier, live longer, perform better, push off disease in the nursing home, thrusters and vegetables are a really powerful mechanism for that, right?
Yeah.
But what this study is saying is equally as powerful, if not more powerful, is how strong your relationships. Relationships make people happier and they make people live longer lives. So it has very little to do with how many friends you have. It has zero to do with what your social media following is.
Yep.
It has everything to do with how deep are the relationships you have. Are you willing to be vulnerable? Are you willing to share your fears and your loves and what makes, your strongest beliefs, and have really deep, meaningful conversations? If you have, high fives and attaboys and, how you doing today? Good. Can you believe the weather? Those are not deep, meaningful relationships. Those do not make you happier. I don't care if you do that with 600 people a day. It's more important to have 6 or less. I'm not putting a number on it, but it's more important to have less, but really deep, meaningful relationships.